Waist beads aren't evil, you are. You don't want to take responsibility for the negative energy that you're bringing into your life, so you'd rather place that on some string, plastic, clay, or glass beads placed on your waist than make the necessary changes. Take the responsibility. Let's talk about it. And talk about it we shall. So I first want to let you know what to expect from this video. I am constructing evil eye waist beads, so I'm going to have information popping up on the screen so you can follow along with that. I am going to be giving my commentary over top, letting you know why you are in fact evil and not the waist beads, if you do believe that the waist beads are causing all the strife in your life. The video has been cut up into topics or subsections, so the timestamps will be available in the description bar along with product links. They are affiliate links, so if you do use them, I will be earning commission on that. If that's not what you want, you can go ahead and just search for those items yourself and purchase that way. So that's where we are there. If this is the first time you're seeing my face or hear my voice, my name is Janelle. The channel is Love Janelle. On this channel, I do make waist beads videos, and we're going to do a little more discussion topics similar to this. I'm also on my leveling up journey, so I am documenting that with my vlogs. There's some self-care, and I've lost about 60 pounds over the last 6 months or so. So I am documenting again the journey, as well as tips and tricks and things I've learned along the way. So if you're interested in any of that fitness content or self-improvement, I am there for that too. So subscribe if any of that is interesting to you, and let's get on with today's video. So first of all, what are waist beads? Waist beads are a cultural item of jewelry traditionally worn by African women. The practices and significance of waist beads vary between African cultures. Some women wear waist beads as a sign of femininity and beauty, and to connect with their inner goddess and divine feminine. Some cultures and tribes will include waist beads in their spiritual practices. Waist beads are also used as a sign of rite of passage. So when a young lady is gifted some waist beads, depending on the color of that set in response to their belief system. A white set may mean purity, whereas a purple set may mean coming into womanhood. Waist beads do have a tendency to make you feel sexy. They're used as a tool of seduction, so in some cultures, it's believed that the waist beads are for your partner's eyes only. So it'd be considered more taboo to have your waist beads sticking out for others to see. Waist beads are also used to connect with ancestors, and in more recent days, many of us in the diaspora who don't have that direct connection to our motherland, we use the waist beads in order to connect with our sisters and our ancestors that came before us. And within the practice of wearing waist beads for ancestral honor, some of us may have rituals that go along with our belief systems with the waist beads, and for some like me, it's just a simple nod. It's a connection. I see another lady with a waist bead, and it's our way to recognize one another, and it often leads to conversation or some sort of connection. So for any lovely I've met in person and have been able to connect with my YouTube channel based on conversations we've had in the past, and you're still around, I want to say thank you for being here. Now this video is well overdue. It was intended to be posted last week, but different angles were presented to me and I've had to reevaluate several times. I've decided ultimately, just to make sure we had this video up today, that I would create a small series regarding the topic, but for right now, just providing just my viewpoint in this most simple way for me to convey my message and to get what you expected when you clicked onto this video today. Waist beads can be traced back to ancient Kemet, which is now modern day Egypt. In drawings, we're able to see a depiction of women wearing waist beads, which is believed to have been worn for symbols of status, spiritual practice, and adornment. Cultural meaning and practices were developed as the waist bead traveled across the continent, with tribes deciding to adopt or create their own belief systems around the waist beads. And for everyone in the region, they can either decide to adopt those principles and the meanings behind them, or they can choose to believe something else. Now, if you made it to this point, I'm sure you've heard one word used over and over again, and it is a key word in this whole discussion over evil waist beads, and it's just the word belief. So your belief in something is what makes something real. What is your belief? Now, your belief system when it comes to any topic is very important, because thoughts become things. Again, your thoughts become things. Your thoughts, the intangible, are able to transmute and become tangible, becoming a tangible thing that you're able to interact with on the physical realm. Now, the processes or the methods where thoughts become things will vary depending on who you're speaking with. A scientist may conduct research by way of creating circumstances, experiments in ways for them to observe matter becoming. For instance, in quantum physics, the observer effect shows that our thoughts and intentions can influence the behavior of particles. This means that our thoughts can shape the physical world around us. Something that I find interesting, I believe is relevant to this, if you have time to look up this split experiment, where scientists are able to witness that particles act differently depending on the observer, and our thoughts work in the same way. During practices like meditation, you're able to observe your own thoughts. You'll find that in time, you're able to not only observe the thoughts, but alter your thoughts as you focus on them long enough and decide to apply meaning to them. Neuroplasticity reveals that our thoughts can rewrite our brain's neutral pathways, creating new habits and experiences. So once you do decide to think in a certain way, it literally rewrites your brain and the way you think to then become what you experience in the physical world. Your thoughts are brought to you. So example is, one morning you wake up and stub your toe. It hurts, it's frustrating, but you decide in that moment that today is already a bad day. That thought typically hangs around and becomes your belief system for that day. Because you believe bad things will happen, your brain is actively looking out for more ways for what you are thinking about mostly, what you're thinking about most of all, to become your reality. So you'll find that you'll be cut off in traffic, you might have poor interactions with loved ones that day. All of these things will take place during the day, starting off with that thought that it was going to be a bad day. From a spiritual standpoint, the law of attraction will be accredited for the energy brought into your life for that bad day to come into fruition. The law of attraction suggests that like attracts like, so that our thoughts draw similar energies to our lives. Science explains that by our reticular activation system being ignited once we decide to focus on a thought. So if one day I decide I would like to have a red Tesla, without trying, I will start to see red Teslas everywhere I go. And if I focus on the red Tesla enough, I may end up inside a red Tesla. And if ownership of this red Tesla is my ultimate goal, focused on this thought long enough will bring it to reality for me. From a religious standpoint, I may provide power to a deity outside of myself who has the capability to grant any desire I can think of. So using practices like prayer, I provide my thoughts to this entity whom I believe will produce the results, the reality that I'm hoping to experience. And with the belief of me knowing that it's been taken care of, it's almost like becoming a magnet to attract exactly what you've prayed for and what you've been able to focus on long enough in order for it to manifest in front of you. For those who follow the hoodoo, voodoo, witchcraft art, you may use a series of spells, incantation, visualizations, and physical props in order to bring forth your desired reality. We tend to call this magic. Whatever it's called, ultimately, it does seem to follow the same pattern as every single one of these methods I've suggested previously. So you have to make a decision whether you decide to again place your power outside of yourself into a deities. If you've decided that you are going to believe something and then focusing on what you choose to believe, it will manifest in your life. This thing happens whether we want it to or not. And hopefully you followed me to this point to bring everything full circle. And many of you already realize where I'm going with this when it comes to speaking about the evil being within the waist bead. Like I mentioned before, there were several angles I wanted to come to you with this video from. I ultimately decided to focus on thought because the videos being spread warning people of the dangers of waist beads are what is creating a thought within an unsuspecting person. And just by your offered suggestion of negativity, evil, malevolence coming from a practical tool for many people is completely irresponsible. I've noticed many things living in this society, but one thing that seems to be very prevalent in today's age is the lack of accountability. I can say a common theme for many people making these waist bead videos and telling their horror stories, and many of them aren't telling their own horror stories. They're speaking about other people's experience, or that cousin, sister, brother, uncle Tony had a encounter with somebody that said this happened to them, and they happened to be wearing waist beads when it happened, so it must be the waist beads. The fact of the matter is, regardless of whether you are adorning waist beads or not, at the time you encounter something that you perceive to be negative, it is not coming from the waist beads, it's coming from you. I believe it to be truly immature to place all blame and responsibility onto some string and beads. You lack awareness of self and where you are in your life. And I would suggest using the time for introspection and growth instead of spreading fear. Your mind is a fearful place based on your belief systems. Your belief systems are just that, your belief systems, and shouldn't be projected amongst everybody that happens to be wearing the same thing that you decided to wear and instill all of your bad luck or bad energy brought to you onto. I'm clearly a mother, and I cannot imagine allowing my son to go through life believing that it is okay to place responsibility from his thoughts and actions onto another person or thing. The mental gymnastics I've seen be used to justify putting blame onto beads is astounding. Your husband cheated because you had waist beads on, not because there is some conflict, poor communication, he has a wandering eye, he's a dog. There's so many different avenues you could start with and go down to find what the answer is. Or even if you don't want the answer and just need to find your self-love, self-worth, and leave from the situation, You'd rather sit in the situation, cut the waist beads off, and believe that he shouldn't do it anymore. And the reason he did it in the first place is because you had waist beads on. Yes, I've seen stories like that. You blame waist beads because it's easier. It's easier than to sit with yourself and figure out who you are, where you are in life, and why you aren't happy right now. A happy person would not jump onto the internet full of fear and spread that amongst the masses. Now, I say this with the utmost love. The waist beads are not evil. It's coming from you. So if you don't want to experience the world you're experiencing, you have to think about the world you would like to experience and then create that belief system and move towards what you want. Do not hinder others' growth. It's not your place to do that. We're all on our own journey, and the best way to aid one another on our own individual journeys is by learning as much about yourself in order to guide others in the right way. Projecting fear on an inanimate object is not the way, sis. I will link some book and video suggestions to help get you started. But as I mentioned before, this is going to be a series. I want to explore this topic a little bit more. For me, I pull a little from all of the practices I've mentioned previously in this video. So there isn't just one way for me to bring forth the reality that I want using the waist beads. The waist beads have the power and energy that you bestow upon them. And I would love to show you how to do that in a more positive way for you to receive a more positive outcome. Now we're going to stop the discussion right here, or at least pause it right here. If you've made it this far in the video, I am very grateful to you for listening to me for almost 20 minutes. If you have gotten this far and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Clearly, you want to stick around for something. So hit that subscribe button and look out for the next videos coming soon. I hope you enjoyed the waist beads that I made right here on screen. Product links are in the description again. And again, just check the description for anything that I may have missed in the video. I may update. I will update that in the description bar. So look out for the next video coming, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.